Trump administration looking at $5,000 baby bonus to incentivize public to have more children. The baby bonus is one of a number of proposals being considered. So I got Smile here, and he wants to debate this article with another article and find out if we can come to a consensus.
To a degree, yes, that's about where we're at. I would say it's more of my position versus whatever your position may be, because mine is definitely Christian in nature, and I'm kind of wanting to get the non-religious response to this.
All right, let's take a look here. The White House has been fielding proposals aimed at persuading people to marry and have children, an effort being pushed by outside groups focused on increasing the nation's birth rate after years of decline. One such proposal that has been pitched to White House advisors is a $5,000 baby bonus to every American mother after she gives birth. Sounds like a good idea to me, President Donald Trump said Tuesday when asked about a $5,000 incentive for new mothers. What do you think?
So, number one, this is just, if you don't have specific things involved here, and I get they're still planning this, if you're going to give $5,000 to a woman who just gives birth, how many more Shaniquas are having babies?
Probably not many,
Flawless
and I'm going to
Bruce
tell you
women?
why. Sorry, go ahead. What did you say?
I was saying, how many women who will just get the child, then they get the $5,000 bonus, and just immediately go out for divorce for all the money and stuff? It's just going to end up being another one of those. They're putting it on the woman's side, and the women are going to benefit, and they're still going to benefit. They're just going to go divorce the man, get all the payment, unless you have something in place for this. All right, go
Well,
ahead.
I don't think that you need to worry so much about wives getting pregnant and then leaving their husbands. But this is something that a woman would potentially do. Get pregnant, give birth, get the $5,000, put the baby up for adoption.
Yeah,
So
you
we
could
can
have
see a
any
lot of that
number.
happening.
Yeah, I mean, you have any number of those. It's the parable of the snake. I don't know if it's a parable or not, but basically, I think it was a government in Mexico said, we'll pay you for snake heads because there was an invasive, massive species of snakes just overpopulating. And so what happened was they cut the heads off of snakes and bred them. So they bred the snakes, cut the heads off, got more money than ever because they were breeding the snakes. Ultimately, what happened was the government said, all right, you're breeding them, we're stopping this, and there were more snakes then than there was at the beginning.
Right.
So technically, Trump is right in that there will be more kids through this. My issue is the quality of the kids because you're putting them through the state if they're just going straight up for adoption.
Yeah, they're going to go up for adoption. I don't think that this is enough of a bonus for, say, a married woman or anything. Okay, so let me tell you this. In 1995, two of my friends were already together when I met the girl, but I had known the man for years. But they got pregnant, had a baby. The hospital bill was $15,000 for her to give birth. That was 1995 money. Now, she had insurance to cover that, of course, whatever. So that was largely taken care of. But what is the cost today? 35,000? I don't know, but I'm sure it's a lot more than
Probably.
15,000. $5,000
Yeah.
is not going to do anything for a mother who doesn't have health care to cover that cost. What does it cost to raise a child to 18 today? $500,000?
Quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it's $500,000 or something
Um,
like that. So it's a lot of money. This is not enough to incentivize people to have kids. It's not enough for a woman to put her life in danger. Not that there's a big danger that she's going to die or get some sort of medical problem from carrying a child to term, but there is a danger there. $5,000 is just not enough. That's what I
mhm.
see. So
Well, I mean, my issue fundamentally is that you're just not going to get. It's not made right because the marriage system itself, to me, is incorrect. Hey pup, you want to stop that? Oh Lord, he's just gonna have to be noisy, isn't he? As soon as I start recording, come on now. Sorry, I'm sure that was picking up, wasn't it?
oh yeah.
I might have to put him in my lap probably to get him to quiet down. Come here, boy. My position is fundamentally that marriage is incorrect right now because marriage is a subjective thing based upon religion. You can still hear me, right?
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
making
just
sure.
absorbing what you said.
Yeah. To explain a bit more, marriage is objective based upon religion because if a Muslim was under a Christian marriage, I wouldn't agree to that. I would want a Christian to be under a Christian marriage. Sure, a lot of things are similar between Muslim and Christian when it comes to marriage and the confines it has. But fundamentally, it is something that is subjective. So, what I am saying is, you're asking me to partake into a government's system of marriage, which would be heretical to the Christian Bible because the Bible says no divorce outside of adultery or abuse. Correct me there if I'm wrong, fellow Christians. Therefore, you are asking me to partake in a heretical act by getting married to a woman under the governmental system. My fix is number one, you have to have a separation of church and state for marriage. And for gay couples, for all that, because I don't want them to get completely nuked by this, there would have to be some extremely limited form of government or something for that. And I hate that that's the only answer I have, but it is.
Okay, so there's legal ramifications to marriage. That's the problem. But you were saying before we had to re-record that you're looking at probably going to a foreign country to find a bride.
Yes.
Well,
And I'm
who's
not even. Oh, sorry, continue.
okay? So are you going to bring her back to the United States?
So, what I'm going to do is dependent upon if she wants to stay with her family or not.
Okay, well
And
let's say you
depending
bring
on
her
where
back
I'm
to
at.
the United States. Let's say you bring her back here.
Hmm.
Who determines her residency status? The
I
church
suppose
doesn't
I
have
would.
the church does not have power over that.
Hmm.
So the government determines her residency status. She's going to be hopefully on a visitor's visa, a fiance visa, until you get married, and then if you're already married when you come here, she can get a green card, and that will be her residency status as a green card holder, a legal resident. And then after she gets that green card, she can apply for citizenship.
Hmm.
So, and it's probably similar if you go to her country and stay in her country. The
Yeah.
government has a
So,
role in determining who is a citizen, who is a resident. Not to mention the legal ramifications of if one of you dies. So
yeah.
let's say you're married for 10 years, you're still relatively young, and one of you dies. Who gets the inheritance? Who gets the property? See, these are all questions and situations that the church grappled with thousands of years ago, well, 1,000 years ago. That's why they cut off marriage. They said, okay, priests can't get married, nuns can't get married. You guys just have to keep that up because we can't have a priest owning church property and then he dies and that goes to his 20-year-old wife because he's a red-blooded male as all men should be, and he was 59 when he met her and she was 18 and now he's dead because
Hmm.
we don't have a good sanitation system. You're going to have problems where property needs to be placed in to the care of somebody. You don't want it going to the state, you want it going to your family. And if she is not legally your wife, there could be a lot of issues there. And who gets it? You'd probably go to your parents or something. Editing warrior here. Supposedly the church, the point I'm trying to make is supposedly the church was losing property to non-Christian individuals. Subsequently, they just outlawed marriage amongst the clergy
I
and the
would
children.
imagine I would imagine that's combated by just writing a will.
Yeah, you could write your will,
Spent
and that would definitely
like
have a
I would
huge
be
impact.
writing my will when I'm like 25 and change it as I get older. That's my whole plan. I mean, generally, what my plan is from start to end is if I find a woman in America, number one, we're not getting married traditional way, i.e., by the government. The way I plan it is look, I disagree fully with that system. We find an actual piece of parchment, purchase it, whatever it may be, write upon it what our own vows are between me, her, and God. We bring it up to a church, and then we act as if it is a ceremony of that sort. We'll have to pay separate taxes. We'll have to do all this, that, and the other because we're not doing it the marriage way. But that to me is the best way to go about it because I'm trying to stay true to my religion and the government is mucking that up. That is my main complaint with what marriage is, let alone the quality of the women that we have in America and other places. That's kind of put aside here for that central point.
Okay, but I just want to refer back, just make sure that it's clear. Like
Mm.
the government determines who's a citizen. So
Mhm.
even though if you meet a woman who's already a citizen, this is why the government is involved in marriage. One of the reasons why government is involved in marriage. Keeping that in mind, you're going to have to, I mean, you can work around it these days. In the past, you couldn't because there were much more stringent laws.
Mhm.
But now you can get around that stuff.
Well, I
Um,
mean, that's just fundamentally my point. Generally, is sure there's going to be things I'm going to have to get around, but I refuse to marry into a system that's heretical to my own religion. I wouldn't expect a Muslim to get married in the Christian way. Why should I get married in a governmental way? And so the core issue I see with what marriage is right now and what Trump is trying to do is you're not going to get more babies because A, politically men and women, especially my generation, are vastly different politically. B, overall, you're just not going to get people marrying because it's going to entrap the men. They're going to divorce for cash and prizes. I've seen this happen time and time again. It's happened to my family. You're just not going to get what he thinks you're going to get. You have to get either more strict divorce law, have actual punishment for the women doing this stuff, mandatory paternity, lawsuits if you find out that somebody lied and that wasn't your kid to begin with, things of that nature. That has to be what's going to happen if you actually want this baby boom.
Right. And I mean, men, if you're smart out there, the thing to do is to get cut, because if you plan on engaging in bedroom activities with the ladies, the only way to protect yourself is to make sure you can't have babies, because she's going to use everything at her disposal
Yeah,
to take advantage of you in that situation. There's
that's
uh, there's just so many ways.
oh,
Look at what happened with Johnny Depp. Amber Heard went after him hard.
mm-hmm.
Good thing he had recordings to defend himself. We can take a look at this China
Yeah,
article if you're ready.
yeah. We can go ahead. We can go ahead.
All right, so it says China proposes law to make it easier to register marriages, harder to divorce. I've not read this at all, so I don't know what this is all about here. China has put together a revised draft law that will make it simpler for couples to register their marriage, while filing for divorce will become tougher. A move that drew scorn from netizens and became a top trending online topic on Thursday. The draft, aimed at building a family friendly society, was released by China's Ministry of Civil Affairs this week for public feedback. People are able to submit comments to the ministry until September 11th, it said. It comes as policymakers struggle to encourage young couples to get married and have children after the country's population fell for years. The proposed law removes regional restrictions for marriage seen in the previous law, where marriages had to be handled at the household registration location of the couple. Divorces will be subject to a 30-day cooling off period, during which, if either party is unwilling to divorce, they may withdraw the application, terminating the divorce registration process, the draft said. It's easy to get married, but hard to divorce. What a stupid rule, wrote a netizen of Chinese social media platform. Huh. Well,
Yeah. From what I understand, most of it was that. I don't. I'd have to read through it again. I don't know if there was any other major things, but that would be better, fundamentally better than what Trump is saying, which is payouts. I didn't like it when payouts were happening overseas from the Democratic side. I really don't like it when you're just throwing out payouts that are negligible in the long run, even if it's to United States citizens. I don't think payouts are the answer, personally. I think that is detrimental. It'll only increase our debt and it'll only make more problems.
yeah, I don't think that the payouts are, especially not at that level. I mean, $5,000 is nothing, especially today. I mean, $5,000. What is that? That used to be
I
something
mean,
that you could survive on when I was your age,
mhm,
but you weren't living well. You were barely making it. Now 5,000, that's nothing. $5,000 you can't. That's not.
pocket change.
Yeah, that's nothing.
And I mean, my end goal plan right now, my thought process is number one, I'm working on that company. Everybody's heard me say it that has ever heard me. Working on making a media type company where I'm doing movies, TV shows, stuff like that. That's one of my side projects while I'm getting a job after surgery. Because if I get the job during surgery, insurance may decide to just not pay for it. So I'm kind of stuck in a bad position right now in that. But anyway, my idea is I'm probably just going to adopt. Like, once I have the money, get my own plot of land, build my own homestead, run it myself, maybe get some more people if I have to, and adopt. That'd be the best case scenario at this point is men who want to be fathers go around the system, adopt.
well, I mean,
That's all I can think of.
I think the better option is to go overseas. You can get a good woman in a foreign country. You could move to a foreign country and see how things are. Once you get your surgery, an option for you. Now you might not want to do this because you're looking at this job potential. An option for you could be to join the Peace Corps and decide which region of the world you want to go to, because they'll send you to a region you don't get to choose, but you can look at what jobs they have available by country. It goes
Mm-hmm.
by region, then by country, and then you can go to whatever country is, put in your application for whatever country you would find to be most agreeable to you. You get 2 years of food and housing paid for while you're in a foreign country and around foreign women.
I mean, it would be very interesting to say the least. It would explain a lot to me about where things are. Issue would be within that 2 years. what would happen here. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 years. I've seen some videos out. I'll probably send it to you if you want to put it in the link in the description. Which was it was basically saying that we're going to have Caesarism within 20 years. So what happens if within those 2 year time frame we just immediately get civil war? I mean, it's not something that's impossible. And would that cause issues with being in that peace thing? Because that sounds like something in the military.
No, I don't know that it necessarily would. I mean, it depends on how bad the Civil War was, but you'll be in a foreign country.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to stop you from staying?
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you
fair
if you're
point.
like, hey, I like you, cute girl. We get along really well. You want to have kids? I want to have kids. You're Christian. I'm Christian. Let's do this thing, and then you're a citizen of that country.
Yeah, I mean that works perfectly fine with me. I'm just trying to figure out all the flaws, all the potential issues. I'm not one that's gonna blindly jump into that kind of stuff. And I've never heard of the Peace Corps myself, so that's gonna be something I'm gonna have to research, figure out. But if I don't do that, my idea is work at that spot because they have a mechanic area there. I could learn how to, do the electricity, do stuff like that, and then buy a school bus, renovate the school bus to be a livable area, plop it on an acre of land.
Yeah.
Because then I don't have to pay somebody to repair the stuff for me. I already know how it's done. Oh, the light ain't working? Let me check on file. I'll have everything filed out, done how I need it. It ain't gonna be easy living, it ain't gonna be good living. I'm living in a renovated school bus, but you ain't gonna buy a house these days. So that's my general plan is that.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, I'm seeing this Chinese article here, and I see a big issue with it, and that is that one party or the other can just choose not to get divorced. So this could be a real problem
It could be,
for
yes.
couples because if you have one party who wants to get divorced and the other party who wants to torment the first party, then it could go either way. A woman could just be
Yeah.
vindictive and want to hurt the man, and or the man could want to do the same to the woman. I mean,
I agree completely. I mean, that's the one issue I mainly have is that none of these answer the problem. And I think America's issue is they're viewing it from the feminine, not the masculine. If you want to solve marriage, you can't ask the feminine. The feminine are the ones taking advantage of the system. You have to ask, what is it that men want? What is it that men are losing? Where is the issue with the men? But instead, a lot of people just ask about the feminine side. And that's where the problem lies is the culture has to get out of its own water and look at it from a neutral perspective. That's something I'm somewhat good at. I can take myself out of a situation neutrally. What is the problem? And the problem is that people are looking at this from a feminine lens instead of a masculine and not asking where the men are having problems. Because men aren't getting married. Why aren't men getting married? Well, maybe it's because the women aren't doing anything for us to want to marry them. I
what are you
like I
talking
said
about?
before, in
Smile!
my
Damn you! That is so wrong. The women are at the table. Don't you know?
well, I mean, if they're a table, I'm definitely not attracted to them, especially if they're as white as one.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for somebody with like less than a body count of two. You gotta understand, there's two types of women usually. The ones that are usually referred to as a bicycle, and the sweet and innocent. You're not gonna get the freak in the sheet and the wifely. You're not gonna get both of those in the same woman. That is
Usually,
just
no.
like
That's true. Usually, the ones who are the freaks in the sheets are not innocent.
no.
I mean, just numbers wise, there's got to be a few exceptions out there. So,
There's got to be a few. Yes, there are the red herrings, but I'm telling you that is the equivalent of the women looking for all the sixes, and
hey,
that men
I've
looking for
already
that
debunked
minus
the
one.
sixes, man. We can't even go. It's 878 now.
Oh Lord, it's 878.
Eight pack, 6 figures, 8 inches.
You can get an 8 pack.
Yeah, there's eight actually. You can actually get a 10 pack. Although the 10 pack is false. It looks like a 10 pack. There's not actually 10 ab muscles. There's 8 ab muscles, and there's one of them that can kind of look like it's split in two, so you can get 10 pack.
Good Lord. Yeah, nah. Like if that's what modern women are looking for, they gotta have the standard of a woman that person would want. Like for me, sure, I ain't the best looking. That's why I'm hitting the gym. That's why I'm working out. That's why I'm going on runs. I want to be able to be the man for the woman I want. That's the mentality you have to have. Men and women. The mentality you have to have is be the man or woman you want for your significant other.
Right. But what's your solution then to the marriage issue? You were saying some things there about hey, I have to look at it from the masculine perspective.
Hmm. Are you want me to elaborate, or are you trying to say something?
No, I want you to elaborate.
Okay. Well, what I'm saying is that basically everybody's saying, well, look, the women this, the women that benefit the women. Like I'd have to send videos. I'd have to do something like that
You
because
don't have to send videos.
I'm in one.
We understand that the divorce laws favor women.
Yeah.
We know that
Yeah.
alimony usually goes to women. We know that child support usually goes to women. That primary custody usually goes to women, and
Hmm.
that only recently now are divorce courts looking at income and saying, okay, the woman made $69,000 a year, the man made $75,000 a year. That's not enough of a discrepancy to pay alimony, so nobody's going to be paying alimony. But women will, of course, bat their pretty little eyes at a guy who makes $1 million a year. He'll fall in love with her, marry her. She divorces him 10 years later and gets a payout for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
And it's millions of dollars probably over the course of her life.
I mean, my entire thing here is, I think the way to word it is there was a CNN segment that was talking about this, and they immediately went from why aren't guys getting married to well the woman. It might have been CNN, it might not have been, I don't remember exactly. But that's what it was. It was literally all this problems with the men, but the woman. I'm like, no, no, you aren't gonna get anywhere if you constantly consider that. And I'm not telling you to erase the women. There are definite issues with the quality of men these days. But the problem is a lot of it is reactionary, and until you remove the action that makes it reactionary, you won't know the wheat from the chaff.
Well,
You won't know who's being bad.
the problem is actually it's come from 1964 when we passed the Equality Act,
Mhm.
and this was brought to my attention when I was a young man. I think I was 22, and I was speaking with a woman. I think she was 70, but she said that I am very glad that we passed that Equality Act in the 1960s. I'm glad that we have feminism and everybody's equal now, but it ruined relationships forevermore. And of course, why did it ruin relationships? I didn't ask her to elaborate on that, but now that I've had years of experience since then, I can tell you reason do women have to marry men? They can do everything. Like women will tell you, I need a man like a fish need a bicycle. They need a man to
Mhm.
do like logistical things around the home, change tires that are flat on the car, build shelving units or whatever it is that men do that women are not as good at for whatever reason. I'm not saying that they can't be good at that, but on average, they're just not.
Mhm.
But they can hire all that work done now. And especially when we see that women are out earning men, they don't have children. They're earning enough money that they can live comfortably on their own and pay for stuff on the side. They don't need a man for anything. What do they need a man for? There used to be
Yeah.
a financial incentive for a woman to find a man and fall in love. And I mean, you want to fall in love. I don't know. I don't think because you're young and you haven't had any relationships. I don't think you've ever fallen in love.
I've had one girlfriend, and it was surprising to me. I'll bring this up like this. I am very autistic. I know I don't appear it because I have had years and years of talking one on one with people. I'm used to talking to people. I have that level of charisma. Sometimes I can get a bit stuttery because I'm not sure what I'm trying to say entirely, or I have it, but I don't know how to word it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I am quite autistic. And that leads to me not really caring about relationships. Like, I want to be a father because I want to ingrain values into a child that will then grow up to be a good person. However, when I imagine that in my head, I don't usually see a woman in the picture just because I don't value relationships like the average person would. I don't have a reason to. It's like number one, I probably would have went for a woman if they were better off, like if they were actually religious in the way that I'm speaking. But I'm not going to go and search for one unless I feel there is a spot with good women left. So the one time I went on a date with a girl, I literally thought this, and I to this day think I was such a dummy. Back then, I was young. I was thinking, look, I have to get married because I was always taught in a very conservative country area, your only goal as a man is to propagate and protect your offspring and wife. So I got one girl, and I'm like, all right, I'm stuck with her. I'll figure out how to make this work, right? And she ended up punching a guy in the face because she had very bad impulse control. And I got my butt whooped because I was trying to protect her because I didn't know she punched him in the face until he told me. Long story short, it ended up being an off and on relationship after that because I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this. And it took me some convincing to realize, oh, she is not a good woman. And so that kind of is what put me down the red pill, if you want to call it that path. So I have had love, I have had heartbreak. I understand to a degree that, yeah, I ended up getting an adhesive level pair bond when I was dating her. Like, that was the only woman I was thinking of. And then I realized all the problems and I kind of just left.
Yeah, and that's what you're going to run into a lot because, again, like I said, women don't need men anymore. Women are being
Hmm.
raised without fathers, so it's you're going to run into a lot of
Well,
these problems.
the
Everybody's
question
being raised without
is,
fathers, so
I saw a video the other day that explained something to me like this. I don't think that's entirely the case. I think it's that hot women are being lied to, and that's why they're considered crazy. Because when you have a single mother household with a woman that is hot, she's going to be lied to by all the men. Why? Because they want to sleep with her. And so she doesn't hear the truth. And from the people she hears the truth from, it stings and she hates it. Which means the only people in her life that could be a reliable source of the truth would be a father or a brother. And I see this firsthand. I have a sister who is older than me who goes outside. It's like, can you come out with me? It's dark and I don't want to be out there alone. I'm doing tough love. We're in a small neighborhood. Ain't nobody gonna do nothing. Say no, do it yourself. Because she needs to learn she's gonna have to be alone in the dark one day. And everybody gets mad at me for it. But I still just say no, I'm not gonna do it. That is being honest, not lying and coddling. And that is the fundamental reason why a man is needed in the house.
yeah.
But that's not as important nowadays to women because, oh, but she could just do an OnlyFans and make $1 million.
Well, they think that they're strong and independent, and they think that men
Mm-hmm.
were imprisoning and enslaving them in the past. That they were chattel. I'm like, that's not true, but whatever.
I mean, fundamentally, I think the pure issue here is just we're at an impasse between the sexes. And I was telling my mom about this. Like, I was actually talking with her, stepmom, not real mom. And it was a very deep conversation. I was talking about utopian rat experiment, Universe 25. Talking about all this kind of stuff. She's like, yeah, I kind of see why it's screwed for you now. And I mean, I wouldn't call her feminist. She's definitely conservative, but she's also just, she doesn't get all of it. Like, I can try to explain it to her, she won't get all of it. And I've just come to the realization that this is probably something that mostly Gen Z will understand. Not many other generations will. You can't go to ask for help from somebody who's older than you unless they're like Gen X, because Gen X seem to have a lot of similarities with Gen Z. Like, my business partner, Gen X. A lot of my good friends, Gen Z or Gen X. I don't know about you exactly, but I would consider you a pretty decent friend. We don't speak enough.
Yeah, I mean, people talk about the dating issues today, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, oh, it's happened because of social media and blah blah blah, and I'm like, I was seeing this stuff in the '90s before social media
Yeah.
was really a thing. So I don't know why you think it started from some social media. Maybe social media made it worse or accelerated it or something, but I was seeing the same issues in the '90s. So
I just think it's an issue of cultural decay, personally. I mean, I assume it's utopian rat experiment. That is my assumption, is we're living the human version of that.
quite probably,
Because
yeah.
I've seen I've seen some crazy crap, man. I have seen mothers who would just abandon their kids on the side of the road. I've seen mothers beat the crap out of their own kids for no good reason. And I read Rat Utopia. The female rats that were mothers in that universe just beat the crap out of their kids.
No, this is the most horrible thing that I've ever heard. Right here, I'm going to tell you. It's recently. This was on a couple of different videos on Twitter. I didn't share it on YouTube, or I mentioned it on YouTube, but
Mhm.
I don't even want to think about this. But this woman sold her 17-month-old child to several men. You can imagine the rest.
Oh, heck no. That's some other level crap. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what it would be if not utopian rat experiment. I have done extensive research on why society is like this, and that's all I can figure out is it's utopian rat experiment. We're just gonna have to go back to an older age.
Yeah, that,
Uh,
that could be the solution. Is making life harder for us. Or
well,
maybe the solution is like what I've mentioned is that the women need to have a reason to pair bond with men.
potentially. I've always said this has been my thought process on There has to be a bar to life. There has to be a level of difficulty to life. This is why I think that men are doing so well right now. They get a level of trauma from, at least in my generation. I have heard so many people, men specifically in my generation, say, yeah, my mother wasn't that great. She did a lot of really bad things. And that level of trauma has been their bar to life, has been that reason why they're living, is because they understand they're not crazy. They had to struggle to survive. I have said, I think the best way of doing this, mandate goats in a household. Mandate that they have to care for, get the milk from that goat. That's
Yeah.
been the best idea I've had. You can train them to be litter boxed. I think I meant to say litter box trained, but you get my point. You can do that with a goat. You can have it. You can do it that way. If it dies of old age, you get a new one. You get my point. Force some form of that upon the populace so they have a bar to survival.
Yeah, that could work. That could work for people who have houses, but it's not really going to work in apartments that well. It could work
Not really.
in larger apartments. Like I have a pretty big apartment, so it
Mm,
could work in my apartment, but it's not going to work in like a New York City apartment, which is like a quarter the size of what I live in.
yeah. I mean, I get that. I'd have to come up with better solutions for that specifically, but we can't go on the way we are. And I mean, the only solution I've come up with is you have to force some form of bar to living. If that goat dies because of mistreatment, this, that, or the other, fines or you lose your house. I don't know. Whichever one sounds better. I don't like the government doing that. I seriously don't. But what's the alternative?
Well, the alternative is what we got right now. So,
Exactly.
anyway, we're gonna wrap this up.
Yeah, we can. It was
All right.
great speaking with you again.
Yeah, it was good talking to you too. All right. Well, everybody, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. You can find Smile out there on YouTube as well, and we'll see you in the next video.
Before we go, just bring this up. I am not commenting or doing anything video related right now just because I have a surgery in a few months. Like they confirmed it should be within a few months. That is the only reason I'm not uploading. I would love to be doing daily videos again. So forgive me for that. I do have a Discord server if you want to join it. That would be the best way to get in contact with me. If you have a video idea you want to share with me, I go on a few different channels, AWW definitely being one of them. So I'll probably just bring this up to some other person I do a video with, and we'll pop a video in here like that.
All right. Sounds good. We'll talk to you later.
Have a good one.